Hello everyone, welcome back to the kitchen table. Today on the kitchen table we're going to be reviewing a product that I've been sent. It's the Helic Max Sky Hawkeye quadcopter aerocraft, which sounds most interesting. So we're going to have a look at that in a second. Before we do, it's the kitchen table. We have a beverage at the beginning of every video that's introduced just to help us along with our thoughts. Today we're back on the coffee because it's a rare daytime recording for me. It's my home roasted Guatemalan single origin from the Huehuetenango region, Guatemala, in the mug that has some sage advice for all users of social media. Cheers. Brilliant. Right. So yeah, I was contacted a few weeks ago now by a company called GearBest, which is a kind of one of the relatively newcomer in the sort of Chinese wholesaler market but they specialize in gadgets and tech. And I got approached because they said, look, they've got this new model of mini quad in, and they'd like me to have a look at it. And they, along with other people who sent stuff in like Epson and DJI bits and pieces, have been more than happy to embrace the kitchen table ethos, which is send whatever you like in, but it's no strings attached. There's no expectation of anything. You don't get to vet it. You don't get to, you know, tell me what I need to say. And they were cool with that. So they did indeed send it along, and I've had it for a little while, and I thought I'd do a review. This is it. I'm not into unboxings. If you want to look, see what it looks like sort of in the packaging, we'll cut away to that now. It's a fairly chunky box. I've got the empty box here. As you know, there's a good old size on it there. It's quite impressively looking. And what makes this different and what piqued my interest was, yes, it's a kind of, you know, it's a mini quad style thing, and that's fine. And yes, it's got a camera on it, and yeah, blah, blah. But it's also got one of these on the camera. I don't know if we can see that there. An antenna. Because yes, this is 5.8 gigahertz FPV enabled, and it transmits to the screen here. So let's see what you get. Obviously the aircraft, this is, as you'd expect, very plastic. It's made of, it's that sort of plastic that's light and flexible but doesn't tend to crack, which is probably no bad thing. The undercarriage, as you can see, are very flexible, but again, you can see by the scratches, I've kind of dumped this on the concrete and various bits and pieces, and it just doesn't snap. It just sort of bounces a bit, which is pretty good. How's it set up? Very, very standard. We've got geared, reduced, I don't know if you see under there, the big reduction gear in there. So, and we've got quite chunky, look at the big pitch on that. These props spin relatively slowly and take a big bite of the air. So, blessed relief. This doesn't sound like a herd of ravenous mosquitoes. It's got a bit of a deeper pitch than a lot of the little micros that you'll be used to. You know, there's a lot of twist and vibration there. This isn't marketed as, and is not designed to be any kind of a serious kind of platform. Okay, this is definitely a toy, and that's cool. But you know, let's see if it deserves the sort of $90 price tag for this toy. So the copter itself is, yeah, it's okay. One nice touch is there's a lot of screws under there. I don't know if you can see on the camera, but everything is actually screwed together. What's an even nicer touch is in the box you get a little screwdriver of the right pitch. I mean, it's nothing to write home about. It's very cheap, but you do get a shed load of spare screws. Now, each of the prop guards that it also comes with here has it takes one screw fitting. So that's 4, but it comes with another 4. So you've got some spares in there, which is just a nice touch. You don't normally see that at the cheaper end of the market. You get a full set of spare props, and these ones are quite. They screw on. I don't know if you noticed there. There's a pitch and a little hole, sorry, on the shaft there, and they actually screw in. So I mean, you're not going to throw one of these very easily. I don't know if you can see there. And they have, you know, they have a bit of flex them. Now I've not fitted the prop guards, as you can see, and I've kind of attacked the ceiling a couple of times with it and bounced off the walls, and these have not shown any signs of being brittle. I think there's enough give in them. But the prop guard design is quite a good one. I would probably probably be tempted to fit these. You've just got a couple of holes at the end of the rotor arms that these little tabs fit into, like that, and then you've got the actual secure it down. There's a little screw hole there, and you screw through. So yeah, that's, you know, they're going to take a bit of abuse quite easily. The other things that come in the kit are obviously, you know, the ubiquitous now USB charger for the aircraft battery and a USB charger for the screen. You get the controller, of course, the transmitter, which is, you know, it's kind of playing at being a real one. You've got a throttle with lots of little detents going up, so it will hold quite easily. You've got trims on all channels, which is again nice and not usual. You've got a couple of switches here for changing the speed, which is the actual kind of the sensitivity of the controls between sort of beginner, and then as you get used to it, you can make it a bit sharper. And flip, which I haven't tested. I really don't see the point. They can all flip these days by pressing a button, but there's no skill involved, and it's just a kind of a, oh, look, show off to your friends moment. Flip, and off it does it. And then, yeah, I haven't even tested it. I'll go take their word for it that it flips, because I really can't see the point in flipping them at all. But that's just me. AA batteries in the back, and then this weird thing which isn't the antenna, but it's actually the mount for this. A separate screen for your first person view, which warrants a look in its own right. So it's rechargeable. There's the USB recharger point. Here's a little slot from SD card, and you've got a screen. It's as easy as that, and it gets the picture from the aircraft. Let's switch this on. I'm not going to bind it up to the transmitter. While it switches on, it's going through its boot. You'll see we've got LEDs on the underside of the arms, red and green, which is quite nice and bright. Make it again, give it a little bit more of the sort of bit like the big ones kind of look, rather than being so toy-like, even though this is definitely a toy. And obviously in the back here, you can see you've got a compartment where your LiPo battery goes, and you can tuck the connector away, and you've got a separate on-off switch, which I like as well. You don't have to kind of, you know, fiddle around with this. It means you can get it down and stable so that the gyros can settle themselves, and then you can flip the switch on. But the other thing it means is that if I switch this on, you've got me showing you a picture of me, which is, you know, confusing me looking at 3 different screens with my hand on it. But yeah, as you can see, it's you get a live feed, and it's a really good solid live feed. And although you can adjust the brightness on this thing, as you can see, but I've kind of got it, always run it on full, and even under the lights here that I'm filming in and the angle, I'm really impressed with this little screen. This is really good. Yeah, I was most surprised by the quality of it. So in this mode, obviously when you're flying along, what you do is you've got this receiving the signal, and I don't know what the power output is, or I haven't been able to test the full range because I haven't got a garden big enough, but this will get an absolutely rock solid signal like this from one opposite end of my house to another. I don't live in a mansion, but there's a few walls, solid brick walls between us, and this thing, I can't get it to lose. I can't get it to lose a picture anywhere on my property or within the boundary of my ground. It's a really solid picture, and the quality of the screen for this price is pretty good. So obviously when you're flying around, you would be able to use the first person view, but the other thing you've got here is the ability to snap, which is take a picture, record, which is of course to start your video recording. And the view button shows you what's already in. So the way it works is that you load up the SD card into the camera on the underside. As you're flying around, you can then see your first person view here. You can then press the button to start a recording, stop a recording, take a photograph. Then when you come back, what you do is take the SD card out of the aircraft, pop it into here, so you don't even need a PC. Pop it into here, go into the view menu, go up to video, and here's some videos that I've taken. Let's find a, there we go. And then it will play back. So, you know, you don't even need a computer. Now I thought, if you're thinking of buying something for an older child, somebody in their early teens who likes your hobby and wants to get involved, but you'd like them to learn on something, but, you know, not something too toy-like, this might be an ideal compromise. It's not too expensive. It's coming in around the free delivery from GearBest. It comes in around £63, so $96, $97. It's currently on nearly 50% off. I wouldn't ever buy the full price. I don't think it's worth it. So I'm pretty sure it's not, you know, it's one of those 50% off, and it always will be. But what GearBest have said is that they have got a sale on at the moment because of Chinese New Year, but they've given me a voucher code that you guys can use if you want to buy it and keep it at the sort of the discounted price. It's not, there's no cut of it to me. There's not an affiliate code or anything. It is literally, they're aware that there was a bit of a lead time in me being able to produce the video. Chinese New Year is going to be finished. So as I was reviewing it at the price that they'd originally sort of set, they said it was only fair. So that's pretty good of them. So how does it fly? We'll cut away now to some shots, and we'll go through that. So here's some comparisons. The first one I did was just a quick I just held this above the camera on the table, so you can see what the kitchen table looks like in the same lighting conditions, and you know, it's not bad. It's not bad. Like most of these things, it's, you know, we're not comparing apples with apples when we're using my camera here, but you know, just to give you an example of what it looks like under sort of some of the lighting here. And then we've got some shots that I did, basically a montage of footage from the air. You know, you can see it can't cope with direct sunlight, like a lot of these tiny cameras with no aperture control. Bright sunshine, forget it, really. You get prop shadowing up, and you get just, it completely blows the sensor. So I sort of thought I'd have a look and see whether or not we'd get anything useful out of it, but nope. So that's a downer there if you're going to use it in direct sun. On the flip side though, if you're not in direct sun, or if you're moving it indoors, or even transitioning between the two, as you can see here, then it's pretty darn reasonable at changing to light levels. You know, it's not instantaneous. There's a sort of a bit of a noticeable shift as it does it, but it picks out the colours pretty nicely. Again, this is a toy, so you know, okay, we can analyse the picture quality all we like, but it's a toy, so what's the point? I know, you know. And you know, flying wise, it's nice and steady. I mean, here's Tom. Tom wanted to get involved, but yeah, we had a small room to operate in, and here he is. Look, he's practicing using the stable cam to get the footage. So this is him now taking footage of me, sort of just flying it, just so you can get a sort of idea of the what it looks like in the air, how it sort of handles, and you know, what it sounds like. And then here's the footage that I took of him taking footage of me, just to complete the circle. So, you know, it is what it is. The fact that I can take these images off it onto an SD card and put it onto a video and upload it to YouTube, that's the important thing to take away from anybody who you're thinking of buying this for, really. And to be honest, it's very docile. These big pitched props just mean that it will kind of do its own thing. It doesn't suddenly zip around the room. It does create a lot of wash. So if you're too close to the walls, it will kind of want to drift a little bit, but it's very, very manageable, especially when it's sort of default speed setting. So yeah, I think for a beginner with a bit of practice, because you can trim it out quite easily, it's fine. I would really suggest that this is an indoor flyer. Take it outdoors really in flat calm. I took it out in light winds, 6 or 7 miles an hour, and it wanted to fly away. You've got a bit more control on it if you up it to the higher skill levels, the speed settings, if you like, the sort of sharper control. You can bring it back a little bit quicker. But really, even the manual says don't fly in high winds. So when I've looked in brackets, it says 5 miles an hour above. I would say, yeah, very light winds. Outdoors, it should be okay. But indoors in the house with the prop guards on, you know, it's big enough to be stable, but it's small enough that it's, you know, you can still fit through doorways. And of course you can, if you want to get some practice in fly FPV. The manual that it comes with is not a manual, it's a piece of paper. It is rudimentary. It took me a while to realise that you had to take the SD card out and put it into the monitor to view it. I was expecting it to sort of stream it from the aircraft because it doesn't explicitly say. Bless me, eh? But basically, there's virtually nothing in here. Very basic how the controls work, and that's it. You're on your own. So this is one to maybe, you know, show someone all about. Length, it's a 280 by 280. That's millimeters, so 28 centimeters by 28. Flying time, it says above 5 minutes. Like all of these things, I would say 5 to 6 minutes, depending on how you fly it, is what you'll get. Charge time from the USB charger into there is around 50 minutes to full. The battery, it kind of is slid in there. You can wiggle it out, but you can see it's your standard single cell. So you can get one that would match that, and I would be sort of tempted to get myself 3 or 4 or 5 of those and have them charged up and ready. There we go. Let's pull her out. We'll see. Whoa. So we've got a 3.7 volt, 700 milliamp hour, and as long as it fits that form factor, then you're fine. So it's a bit of a tight fit in there, but you know it's out the way. You can tuck the cables in. You've got a little door. So all in all, while I put the door back on, another benefit of having plastic parts. So all in all, yeah, this isn't a serious thing, is it? But it's 60 quid. Now, is it worth the 30 quid more than a little Hubsan, for example, the X4? I think that depends. I find that if you've got someone that, like a child or, you know, a young relative that you're wanting to get into the hobby, I would be tempted to look at something that's a little bit larger like this, because of they're inherently a little more stable, and therefore gives you a little bit more confidence. I also like the fact that it doesn't have a spring-loaded throttle, so you can actually, you know, keep it set to a throttle level and then just make small adjustments to get that right while you then practice trimming and so on. The screen is brilliant. This is the best bit of it. I mean, you know, it'll take a micro SD card, and just the fact that you don't even have to, you know, take your thing and plug it into a computer, which means if you are giving it to a child, a younger person, who is obviously responsible enough, it means that they don't have to, if they don't have a computer, it doesn't matter. They can actually take a few videos of what they've been doing and how they've been annoying the dog or their mum or whoever, and view them and show them to their friends, you know, just on here, which I think is, you know, is a pretty cool thing to be able to do. And like I said, really pleasantly surprised with the brightness and the resolution on this little screen. The fact that it's rechargeable and small, you know, it's just a really nice little thing. Very pleasantly surprised with that, and the way that it sort of just sits into there gives you a nice little unit. And you know, I can just see my son Tom out with me and the bigger one, you know, looking a bit like the same. So there we go. So that's the Sky Hawkeye from GearBest.com. Free shipping on that. I'll put all the links in the description down below if you're interested. So thank you to GearBest for sending it through, and thank you to them for, you know, embracing the no strings attached ethos. They were really cool with that. That's it, the Sky Hawkeye. I hope you enjoyed that look at it, and we'll see you again soon back here on the kitchen table. Until then, cheers.